The left YouTube pipeline, the good, the bad, and the hot. Let's watch it. There's, and here's the thumbnail. Notice who's not in here. Notice who's not in here. Notice who is in here. Me twice. And not all of us agree on everything. I am very different than the serfs. I disagree with the serfs on a lot. As a perfect example. But like, they're not I mean, like, come on.
Hassan Abi, more like Hassan a billionaire. Second thought, more like second tank.
Thoughts on this guy being a tanky? I hope he fucking drives a tank to your house, okay?
Contrapoint.
Oh shit, we have a hype trade chat. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider supporting it at tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3 sub. If you have Amazon Prime attached to your Twitch account, you get 1 free sub a month. That's your Twitch Prime sub. That's like taking $3.50 out of Jeff Bezos' pocket and putting it into mine. You can also support the stream by gifting subs. Gifting subs allows people who are working paycheck to paycheck, parents of young children, college students, people struggling to make ends meet, people on a fixed income for retirement or disability. All those people are important members of our movement, and they deserve the right to see the content without ads. So if you have the means, you can support the stream and support your fellow community members by gifting subs. Let's fucking go. That's my Ben Shapiro speed chill.
It's more like pro status quo points. Who is a dirty lib, godforsaken tanky, or the worst of them all, a dirty shill? These eternal callouts thrown around in the gladiatorial arena, which is online left-wing propaganda, or
the only time you're going to see Vaush in this video.
Us kids call it left-wing YouTube content, have left so many confused on who the hell they should even listen to. But before we...
By the way, chat, let me just say this. Let me just say this. Critical support for Bad Empanada. Bad Empanada's videos, again, I don't agree with everything, but I trust that what he's putting out there is both from a left-wing perspective and his honest evaluation of the scholarly sources which he actually read. If somebody is in a conflict with Bad Empanada, 99% of the time, they suck. There's a couple 1% incidents where there's friendly fire for Bad Empanada, and that's what happens when you're in the trenches and you're literally trying to distinguish between friend and foe. There's going to be the occasional friendly fire incident. You could go to Bad Empanada's videos and understand that they are left-wing and they are well-resourced and honest. I think he goes a little bit too wild on Twitter. I sometimes say that I use Twitter like a toilet. He uses Twitter like a VR sword slashing game.
We begin answering that question, what even is a left YouTube, breadtube, the swolletariat, or whatever you want to call it? Depending on who you ask, they will give you different definitions. But as an unwilling member of this so-called community, and to avoid infighting before this video even starts, let me give you a definition which we'll use as a baseline for this entire conversation. They're simply a loose cluster of channels advocating progressive ideas based on culture, race, and most importantly, class, characterized...
Most importantly, true! That's true! That's a true statement.
By infighting and a constant disagreement on what is to be done. Noah Samson had made a fantastic guide to the basics of leftists on YouTube. Go
Not the biggest fan of that video, to be honest.
ahead and check out his work, especially if you're still confused about.
I think that was when Noah Samson made that video. It was a different time. It was a different time.
What any of
I
these
think
words
it's dated, unfortunately.
coming out of my mouth even mean. Good. Now that we have that out of the way, let's get to what we're actually here for. Me telling you which channels are good and which you should avoid like the plague because of my very specific niche political disagreements with them. No.
Notice where the middle finger was, chat. Notice what channels the middle finger was over.
My
is he just pointing? I thought he raised the middle finger. Why did I think that was the middle finger?
No. What are you telling me?
Why did
Hundreds
I
of
thought that was
those
the middle
have
finger.
already been.
Damn. Also, the Wall Street is having a massive rally right now. And bonds are crashing. Oh, I wish I had bought them at 5%. I would have made so much money already. Oh my God. Anyway, inflation was very low. I think we might be tipping over to recession time, chat.
Made.
No, I'm just kidding. The stock market's blowing up. I think they think soft landing happening.
So now I can't just score easy YouTube infighting algorithm points by calling other channels stupid and wrong. Well, shit, I really want to do a video on this eclectic group of annoying and petty, but also funny, passionate, creative, and smart creators who are in it for a better world for themselves and most commonly for both. So instead of looking at them individually, let's look at this left tube pipeline in general by exploring how it works.
You too can subscribe.
If it works, is it cringe? Is it not? And most importantly, what can be done to maybe, I don't know, improve it? A funnel, or a pipeline as it's more commonly known in this context, is not much more than marketing terminology. When you want to sell a product or a service to people who don't know anything about your business, you need to put them through a few steps before they're ready to buy. All these steps combined are simply called a funnel. At first, you need to inform them about the existence of your product, then tell them how it can solve some of their problems, give them some data on how it helped others in the past, some stats about how it works, and finally, a deal you're willing to propose. Political funnels work in a very similar manner, albeit a bit more complicated, because you see, these different steps in a business funnel are managed by a tight group of professionals, while political ones are managed by a wide range of disconnected individuals and organizations from all over the world. Instead of selling a product, they're pitching an idea. Instead of leading you to a sale, they're leading you to, in this case of the left, an elevated class-conscious perception of the world, while hopefully entertaining you in the process. Now, while this funnel is much bigger than a bunch of people on YouTube or Twitch, it would be foolish to ignore a little thing called the internet, hence why we'll concentrate on just that, specifically the big red button website, YouTube. The current lack of organization and structure among these free-floating radicals simply leads all of them to naturally kind of fall into different parts of the funnel. Some contribute to people going down the pipeline, while others, well, not so much. And this is exactly what I would like to explore with you today, building a grander schematic while using examples of what this funnel looks like now, how different creators impact it, but also more importantly, how with a simple shift we could be far more productive while also doing what we love, making a living off of internet shitposting.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I said earlier in the stream chat. It's exactly what I was talking about, which is I am living my dream. You know? Like, obviously, I want to do even more. I want to make it. I want to write even more into the world. I want my stream to be bigger. I want to make some better intellectual contributions. But making a living from internet shitposting is incredible. having the opportunity to create alternative media, alternative places where people with an ideological view from the left can come. And we could work together to engage in praxis, which is do more than just sit here talking every day, but actually get out into the real world and affect things. And that's why my channel, my Discord has the praxis channel. That's why whenever you join a union or start organizing a union or join your local DSA, or run for office or win office, we have win after W in this community, because that is what it's all about. It's not just shit posting for money. It's about changing the world for the better. Look at what just happened with UAW and Sean Fain taking over. That was because a bunch of shit posters who liked Bernie Sanders, volunteered for Bernie Sanders, said, hey, I'm in the UAW. Let's run in the UAW. And they did a reform movement and they took it over. Avenger Dragon says, oh, hold on. He has a long message for me. He said, hey, everyone, sorry for being AWOL lately. My brother-in-law had his funeral yesterday. I watched TYT, but it didn't feel up the chat. Not sure if I talked much or not. Passed 2 weeks ago, but we lost him 3 weeks ago to a coma. He was able to donate organs and tissue, so he's not totally gone. We're just hoping his GoFundMe raises enough for his funeral. His dad's side, he wanted the big funeral, but left us to pay. Hasn't donated a cent. What the fuck? Well, I'm sorry that happened. But did they sign the contracts? Like legitimately, and I know, Stewie, thank you for the 23 months. Like, if I know this is kind of cold-blooded, but if a family member of mine spent lavishly for a funeral and then just tried to stiff me with the bill, I would sue them. That's disgusting behavior.
Look at this graph.
First, I had to define the goal of this left-wing funnel. For right-wing funnels, it would be making people blame all their ills on everything except the capitalist system, be that minority groups, gay frogs, vaccines, or lizards. An example of such a right-wing funnel would be, hooking them with messed up transphobic propaganda. Then you spoon-feed them a bit of xenophobia, and you top that off with some heavier conspiracies once they're deep enough in the rabbit hole, and you've done it. Perfect drones. For the left, the end point of any online funnel, when you bring it back to the basics, would be getting people to actually apply their beliefs in the real world. Do shit, organize, unionize, protest, and other things I cannot say if I want to keep this video up on YouTube.
Listen, chat. Listen. I agree.
So, okay, I think this is a wide enough, fair goal, which doesn't get too entangled with whatever Marxism, Leninism, anarcho-feminist, Judo-Bolshevik, democratic, POC, cracker, liberal, communist school of thought you all belong to. The funnel should build socialists and anarchists who act on their ideas, because without that, this whole thing is just a circle jerk. So, this is what I came up with. Yeah, not the prettiest thing, but let me walk you through it. Each layer has multiple types of creators. These types are pretty simplistic, and most of these people fit multiple categories and even funnels. But I had to stop somewhere in the name of your and my own ever-deteriorating attention span. Many of the people on this list will likely not identify with the position I'm giving them, either because of humility by saying shit like, well, we just make entertainment, or that they're small-headed dum-dums that you shouldn't listen to while managing to deliver brilliant insight time and time again. And the most important category of people on this list who will not like being identified with their label are, well, I call them tumors, my man. And funny enough,
got the tumor category. Gosh, I was talking about the tumors all day today. And I felt like I had to name names because Yugopnik is, let's be honest what's happening here. Yugopnik probably looks at his, and I'm not using this to criticize. I'm giving you materialist analysis, okay? You're leftists. Do materialist analysis for a second. Don't be a little bitch about it. All right? When you look at your analytics, it tells you what are some channels that you have a lot of overlap with. It's not a good idea for you to call out channels that you have overlap with. Because a lot of the people that subscribe to you both are going to like them more than you. So even though you're in the right, even though you have provided all the evidence, even though that person sucks, every time you stand up to someone and say, hey, this person's fucking up, that person's doing something bad, some percentage of the people that are your fans and their fans are going to pick them because of parasocialism. They parasocially like them more than you. They're on their team over your team. Now, when you're allies, they have no problem liking you both. But the moment you call out their parasocial stand, you're going to lose some people. That's how it works. So the best bet is to give those people plausible deniability. And that's what Yugopnik is doing here. So Yugopnik is saying there's a lot of people that are tumors. So who are people that make who are the streamers in the left space? Do you see them here? If you don't see a streamer in here, he is calling them a tumor. Or not relevant enough, which, that is how it works. Now, he is also letting those people that are, the streamers that are not here, or the, people who make videos or talk about news or whatever, who are not in this beloved, glorious funnel. If you're not in this beloved, glorious funnel, he's probably implying you're a tumor. And so he's doing it. So the intelligent people are going to watch this video and they're going to do exactly what I'm doing and going, huh, so-and-so is a really big leftist streamer. They're not on this chart. I guess he's calling them a tumor without actually calling them a tumor. Yeah, but not all the rumors are missing. V is still in the funnel. Where? Where? Am I blind? I'm there twice. That's because I'm really bad at marketing myself. So people get confused sometimes about which I am. It's fine. I don't mind being the leftist bad at marketing. Double mention. Double mention. People like my Twitter posts and they like my streams. Let's go. I'm surprised when everyone mentions you, you seem like an island. I personally am someone who doesn't try to reach out too much to other people because I have to really trust you first. And in order for me to trust you, I have to know you're not just a grifter trying to make money any way you can. And the reality is being a content creator is great. It really is. But I'm exactly the content creator I want to be. I often hear many people who are political lamenting that they're political. Like they have some success, but it's political success. They're like, I wish I could just be a blah streamer. To me, that's one of the biggest red flags. Whenever I see that, I'm just like, all right. Like, I leave for China in a month. Can I get a different VPN sponsor so I can get a discount before I head out? Yeah, you know what? I'll try to do that for you, James. Thanks for the 10 months, bud. So, like, I'm doing exactly the streams I want to do. Now, I wish I could do more. I wish I did more. Like, I wish I did more of the other stuff. But for me, I just enjoy, you know, after 5 hours of doing politics, I want to take a break. And that's not really how Twitch works. You know, Twitch is like, all right, I'll do something else. It's like, I'm good.
Being identified with their label are, well, I call them tumors, my man. And funny enough, this is the only category that permeates all the layers of the funnel. But you know what else permeates my existence as a proud second worlder? No, a one-pack extra with decline. Now go 30-day money back clicking the link. You see, everyone's journey down the funnel, well, generally within certain parameters, can go very differently. For some, it takes decades, while others get a matching Mao and Lenin tattoo 10 minutes after they date their first communist. Hell, some never even make it down the funnel and remain liberals at best, or whatever ideology your uncle has at worst. Why this happens, both through the online and other political or sales funnels, is incalculably wide and diverse. We all come from different worlds, different realities, ideologies, call them whatever you want. And it's obvious that one method cannot work for everyone, no matter how much you've been taught to hate or love your boss in the first place. So, then, in the funnel, who exactly are the so-called tumors? I didn't name them that out of spite, but because they simply do operate like tumors. Swelling, growing, and growing. No other reason to exist. The tumors refuse to participate in said funnel, and instead they become channels, writers, content creators, and so on, whose entire purpose is mostly growing their own image, brand, and audience. Well, there's nothing wrong in trying to grow your shit. The only reason you end up in this category is if you grow it at the expense off the funnel. You see, the problem with pushing people down...
By the way, chat, so this is a very important point you need to understand.
If you grow it at the expense...
This is exactly what I'm talking about. I have not named anybody today who wasn't a bad faith, disgusting, personal attacker first, right? And I haven't engaged in it. I don't engage in personal attacks. You won't hear me talking about the many personal failings and foibles of the debate perverts. When I make fun of them, I usually talk about positions they hold. You know? Or arguments they've made. I don't talk about the many pieces of personal what's the word I'm going to look for? Turpitude. I don't talk about the moral turpitude of these people. I don't talk about their proclivities. I don't talk about their issues, if you get my meaning. I just talk about the views they hold and why those views make them pieces of shit. Now, they will come at me and try to invent personal attacks, because they understand that if they actually tried to talk about the views we hold, the arguments we make, they could never stand up to it. And trust me, it's very tempting for me to go below the belt. But you know what? I don't need to. I would respect myself less if I did. And I don't want to have that type of community. Sometimes, and I'll be honest, chat, sometimes when you're getting personally attacked or someone's lying about you, and the people that are doing it are fans of one of the biggest scumbags on the planet, you want to let rip what you think about them as a person. But I've decided that that's not what I want to do. So don't be a tumor. And by the way, I don't think a tumor is a good strategy. This is something that maybe Yugopnik doesn't say, but I think this analogy is really valid. Because what do tumors do? They're a malignancy. They kill the host. When these tumors grow, what they do is they make left YouTube less about politics and more about drama. They make left YouTube less about praxis and more about interpersonality. They make left YouTube less about education and more about drama. And that kills the network dead. That destroys the credibility of some people. That harms the movement as a whole because it's fractious. We're pointing our guns at each other instead of our greater enemy. So I'm of personal opinion that when you run into a tumor, you excise them from your life, which is exactly what I've done. I exorcise these people from my life. When I said, you know what, fuck Destiny, he's a loser, he doesn't know what he's fucking talking about, he's a moron. If you want to see the many conversations we had, they're on my YouTube. You can search them up. You can see he's totally out of his element on everything. When I stopped talking to him, I had 200 viewers, 250 viewers. He's not relevant. He's not important if you want to have a real political channel. So I stopped talking about him and stopped talking to him because every time you do, you make yourself less. That's the same thing that Hassan realized. That's the same thing that Hassan realized. And it was the best decision we ever could have made. Cut the tumors out of your life. Are you still subscribed to any of the tumors? Unsubscribe. Go check your YouTube channel and unfucking subscribe. Well, Mike, I'm only following them to track them. No. Unsubscribe.
Off the funnel. You see, the problem with pushing people down the funnel for them is that their content stops being engaging for people who've actually moved further down, who managed to, for the lack of a better word, outgrow them. People moving down the funnel means less views, listens, or streams. Less views, listens, or streams means less money, popularity, and relevancy. So sometimes subconsciously, and other times with very real strategy and intent in mind, tumors shit talk and smear other creators from the funnels below them. They often camouflage that as being principled, fighting against problematic schools of thought, or my favorite, purity checking. Instead, most of the time, it's simple drama and content baiting. These are mostly debate bro channels and streamers, often liberal elements LARPing class consciousness in the beginning, but as time goes by, show no real signs of any even slightly radical political thought. The both-siders, the lib apologists, the ones who spend 5 hours shit-talking past socialist experiments and then tell you to vote because Biden is the best we've got. The constant conflict-prone behavior and totally embarrassing lack of self-awareness. But also, on the other spectrum, there are the elitist theory academics and campists who completely miss that little point of philosophers changing the world, not just being the most right. And while disagreements are bound to happen wherever there are two dudes and a cup half full, it's only when friendly fire becomes pretty much your most successful method of growing your online presence
Is there anybody who you think is a tumor?
that you've become.
Who do you guys think is a tumor? Like, whose top videos are just attacking other leftists? Go ahead. Feel free to say who it is. I don't mind. We're going to get this out of our system for a while. Ugh. This channel is so disgusting, man. Ugh. I don't even want to show it.
The tumor. It doesn't matter if they see themselves as such or if you like them or hate their guts. Hell, I'm even going to go so far as not to ascribe them as necessarily bad or intentionally malignant. Probably half of them are doing what in their ideological sense seems right. But when it comes to what we're talking about here, the online left-wing political funnel, they are unfortunately not one of those harmless tumors. They keep people from advancing ideologically. They provide fuel for even greater than usual infighting. They dilute the movement and, most importantly, dilute ideological growth into a simple childish game of I'm right, no, I'm right, no, I'm right. Criticism should, of course, be shared amongst people on the same team, but in one-to-one conversations, not through loudspeakers. It's just impractical unless all you want to do is grow your YouTube presence. We don't all have to agree, and realistically can only guess what school of thought might end up being the one who's right in the end. That's if we don't all die by then. And it's exactly in accepting this modesty of uncertainty that we should treat others in the funnel with all due respect. Who in the fuck says we're the ones who got it all figured out?
Tier 1.
All you can do is push your ideas and let others push theirs in this wide, beautiful, ideological family of ours. Don't operate like a dirty capitalist market. History will show what will work or won't. It's on us to push people to action and not just petty, stupid infighting. And the best part is that it's a total myth that by pushing people down the funnel, you will lose an audience. Look at plenty of creators ranging from Second Thought, Philosophy Tube, or Hassan who dedicate their time to informing, entertaining, and teaching at a relative entry level and yet manage to keep some of the biggest audiences on here without living off of cannibalizing other left-adjacent channels they might not fully agree with. But
wow. And by the way, you know, the reason this is one of the things, like, I get why Yugopnik didn't name names, but that's probably because, you know, honestly, how much are they attacking them? You know, it's like when you're being attacked by them, it becomes more important to defend yourself. Because unfortunately, narratives are created without you contesting them, and they can oftentimes follow you around, even when they're false.
okay, we've spent enough time on these tumors. Disagreements will exist, but the funnel takes precedence. Blah, 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 blah. We should all get along. Yugopnik should run for the Miss World pageant. Yeah, you all get it. Originally, I was going to actually show you the creators I would consider the tumor category, but I decided against it out of naivety or hope that they might eventually...
I think if I want to be on YouTube, I have to make YouTube videos. That's just the reality. I need to have videos that other creators want to watch on their streams. That's what I need to do. We concede ground that liberals are leftists since when? I don't.
Step out of this role, they might not even be realizing they're playing. We're still on the same side, I think. Anyways, now let's actually take a peek into the meat of this chunky ass funnel of ours. We all start from somewhere. Our initial trigger to changing our mind can be anything from personal experience to watching a dude we follow get dunked on in a YouTube video. There's no right, no wrong approach, and that's exactly why this section of the funnel is so important, and not to forget, kind of fun. Let's start from the reply guys. Their lore takes us back to the anti-SJW.
It's only sexist when men do it. Oh, fuck me, man. Amazing atheist. Holy shit, dude.
Era, a dark and sweaty time which gave birth to many variants of the Ben Shapiro virus. This virus would seemingly attach itself to unsuspecting videos of progressive feminists or 18-year-old college kids saying something only to be completely obliterated by the superior minds of facts and logic. Well, until people started actually questioning those facts and logics, giving birth to left-wing ownage corn, or what we call the reply guys. This can be done in many formats, through long-form essays like those of H. Bomber Guy,
just one small problem. Sell their houses to who, Ben? Fucking Aquaman!
That is by far and away the best clip from BreadTube. It's gonna go down in history.
or Big Joel, or direct analytical dunks like from the Cavernacle, edgy punches like with bad empanada streams, or just classic humorous annihilation like with Noah Samson or Hakeem's famous response videos. These videos feel like cold water being splashed in your face. Just instead of waking up from your fever, you're being shown that, hey, that really smart dude you've been basing your whole personality around, yeah, they're kind of bloody stupid. Moving to the second type, probably what I spend most time watching personally, media analysis. It's the people you should blame for the saying that everything is political, which it is, no matter how much we try to forget. Media analysts take our favorite films, books, series, music, or art in general, and show us the underlying ideology of the whole thing. Why we relate so much, or why we hated it. What message was it trying to put across, why some of it is propaganda, or why it's, just really bad. Or good. Media analysts get a lot of shit from people further down the funnel for not really doing anything, but how can you say that about some of the greatest propaganda works of our time, like Shrek, a Marxist analysis by Jonas Cheka, and I kid you not, Azure Scapegoat. Yes. There are two analyses of Shrek, or the greatest takedown of how Enemy at the Gate lies to you by Kay and Skittles, shows like Renegade Cut, or the recent gem overanalyzing the Barbie movies with queer Marxist theory by Alexander Avila. All the creators on this list are pretty great, and not all of them only focus on media. And while you might call most of this either over-intellectualizing or, contrastingly, not much more than consumerist obsession over art, all I can tell you is, well, news is, well, the news. Arguably a section of the media landscape we lack the most in. The libs are out here performing group fellatio on the Bidens and Macrons of the world, only outpaced by the giant orange man statues erected hard, deep, and long by the conservative echo chamber. It's kind of hard to compete with billion-dollar industries, but some are still ready to take this on, pushing through the sludge, getting us informed, and somehow staying away from the big old Murdoch bucks. Some of my favorite are the excellent Democracy Now!
I mean, who doesn't love Democracy Now! Chat? Positive leftist news is an interesting cooperative of people.
or positive leftist news run by Mexi. Contrastingly, good morning bad news, mostly over on TikTok, or the ever-entertaining some more news. I even run a fledgling openly biased news channel with my boys from the Deprogram podcast called First Thought, where we post 3 times a week.
I think one of the things that really is important to understand for me is that as leftists, you have to continue to engage with the culture of people around you. You have to engage with the people that are actually around you. You have to talk about what they're talking about. So, like, for example, when Andor was coming out, I happily engaged with it. I watched it. I showed all the leftist, Easter eggs and dog whistles. I talked about how the creator, the showrunner, used the Soviet Revolution as motivation and inspiration for his art. I showed you why this slop had some raisins in it, as opposed to just being tasteless gray slime. So, like, that stuff is part of grabbing people. That's why it's the widest of the part of the funnel. That's where you grab people that are just, say, kind of generically progressive, and you pull them in. That stuff's important. And it's also, let's not underestimate, fun as fuck.
And are soon launching our first long-form content. Anyways, while the new section of the funnel won't always directly push someone down, it plays a critical role in fighting against right-wing advancement into the mainstream and hopefully introduces most viewers to critically viewing establishment, billionaire-owned media mouthpieces.
Their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
So, the introduction funnel is there to tickle the curiosity by killing your idols, connecting to you through media and art, or by giving you a new perspective on current events. Lighting
great stuff.
The fire is half the work.
True.
The big boy, the fat of the funnel, the fat of our lives, entertainment. Get radicalized on the toilet seat, at work, during break, at school, while driving, while drinking, before sleep, or right when you wake up. The opiate of the masses is no longer religion, or even opiates themselves. It's 24/7 non-stop warfare for your screen time. How then, in the 9 hells, do you expect any self-respecting movement to not utilize that? Entertaining people and helping them forget about their worries, if only for a moment, are relatively noble goals by themselves. But add an extra ingredient to that concoction, and you get the goddamn Powder Puff Girls of ideology. Political entertainers stem...
True. Which Powder Puff Girl are you? I didn't really watch them, so I don't know. I don't know their names, but you probably do.
From the early days of late-night talk shows combining comedy, news, and hot takes, which themselves stem from thousands of years of deeply politicized written, spoken, and performed entertainment. In our era, this field has transformed into a whole mega industry of podcasters, streamers, comedians, and just general people looking to give you a good time. Well, maybe, hopefully, teaching you something along the way. To start off with streamers, they give arguably the biggest bang for your buck of any video entertaining category I can think of. Some of these people spend between 5 and 10 hours a day, every day, pretty much living with their chat. They react to others' content, world events, shoot the shit, react to what chat sends them, or analyze this or that subject. Because so much time is invested by viewers who consume this sort of content, there is an inexplicable bond built between the host and the audience.
You hear that THC carts are killing people. You hear that mattresses are killing people?
This bond leads to far deeper trust than
What the fuck is that clip? Slummy Space Princess, thank you for the tier 1.
With most other formats of entertainment or content in general. And this trust, which translates into quite real and literal power, can be used to direct, often unexperienced people towards a more factual and kinder way of looking at the world. In an era plagued by rampant antisocial tendencies, people, especially the young'uns, are looking for role models outside of their homes, but now also schools and friend groups. That's where streamers who treat their role responsibly come into play. From the likes of Hassan, who's basically a one-man Gen Z leftist CNN at this point, or the many different stripes of leftists from Mike from PA, the Serfs, Central Committee.
Yeah! Double mention. Listen, you motherfuckers. Listen. This is because I'm the worst branded person ever. Also, I wanted to pause this screen for a second and say, what the fuck is this? Century Committee viewers also watch I'm Really Important? No, you don't. No, you fucking don't. Unfollow right now. Unfollow I'm Really Important right now. What are you fucking doing? Harder based. Harder, fine.
No Justice MTG, Rob Ross at TRRS, by often unwillingly playing the role of either role model or main source of the correct takes, streamers, when not embracing the tumor path, will continue to grow into some of the most influential people of our era. Like it or not.
And by the way, chat, listen. Streaming is great because it allows somebody who is a little bit more developed intellectually or ideologically in politics to talk to people that are normal and have a conversation. Isn't the double mention what you intended, to have your own content and the Central Committee umbrella? The reality is the Central Committee is not a committee. It's just a committee of one. I originally wanted it to be something like the Majority Report or something like, you know, a live Chapo. But it ended up, the other people that I initially was working with, they didn't do anything and they never showed up and they never did the stream. So the stream was 100% mine and my idea. I created it, and, you know, the reason why it has any success. So, you know, I just kept the name because I blew up with that name, you know? It is what it is. And Mike from PA is what I was known before I started making content. I was Mike from PA as somebody who worked on Sam Cedar's show, and I called into Sam Cedar's show, so people knew me as Mike from PA from Sam Cedar's show. The question I have for so I am Mike from PA. This is the Central Committee, you know. Mike Yeezoff, all his co-hosts, they were never even co-hosts. You know what I mean? It never even really happened. If you were to move, would you change the PA in your name? No, you're always from somewhere, no matter where you live. You're always from somewhere. And like it or not, I've lived more time in Pennsylvania than anywhere else in my life. So it's probably the most influential place for me.
Next on, we have the jokers. They either tell us we live in a society or make us laugh. They make up the meat of the meat, the largest chunk of the entertainment funnel. Some of them you call comedians, others video essayists and commentators. I cut them into two subtypes. Edgelord internet humor, the likes of Wow Mao, who apparently, yes, is an actual leftist. Juche Co-op Gang, a very tall Bart. Amon Animation, which still haunts me in my dreams to this day.
Amon Animations are incredible. I love him. He's an artiste. So the Central Committee devolved to a dictatorship? So true. So true.
But then pretty much that things just become like land creatures.
And the OG who was here before it was even a thing, Batko, and many, many other edgelords. And the second subtype, the long-form jokers who make pretty much everything from essays to short documentaries, like one of my personal favorites, the two insane boyfriends over at Boy Boy, the brilliant Mia Mulder, Spooky Scary Socialist with his whole 2 videos, Sean the Talking Skull, Mooncat, who by the way almost...
I love Sean.
Drinks as much as me, which is very comforting to say the least. And
if a Yugoslavian says you drink as much as they do, get help. Okay, maybe it's too spicy. Maybe we're too spicy. Maybe that's too spicy. Maybe that's too spicy. That was a spicy joke.
anyways, a recent rising star, GDF, Philosophy Tube, Balkan Odyssey, and many, many others. By phrasing their content as more generally educational, historical, or as cultural analysis or whatever not so scary term, they managed to pique the interest of people just browsing the web looking for a good laugh, or to satisfy their curiosity on this topic or another. They're the shit YouTube will actually recommend. The shit that changes your worldview without you even noticing it. King content, baby. King content. Now, next. Podcasters. I mean, do I have to say anything here? It's podcasts. Radio killed the TV star. If you're gonna spend your time listening to something while you're driving, cooking, working out, pushing out those dark thoughts of cosmic insignificance as you fantasize of the warm embrace of non-existence wrapping you in its arms after the excruciating experience of being given life without having ever asked for it, or
Oh, the pessimist sin. Pessimist sin.
cleaning, redecorating, or gaming, podcasts are a constant. I have personally learned a lot from incredible shows like Chapo Trap House for the humor and interesting takes on theory, TrueAnon to grow my hatred of pedocapitalism, Revolutionary Left Radio and Guerrilla History Pod for my praxis in history, or Blowback for their incredible storytelling. Oh, also a little podcast called The Deprogram that yours truly runs with Hakeem and Second Thought, link below. But yeah, contrary to the news sphere, the left has managed to find its place in this medium, with some of the most grassroots financially backed pods out there being the very ones which are working towards the good old cause. The entertainer step of the funnel, in general, is pretty exclusive to the internet. Grassroots organization is too busy feeding and housing people to also give them a laugh. It's also the perfect stepping stone one can take because, let's be honest, it's mostly not that heavy. None of us can bear to sit through books and documentaries and heavy-handed videos all the time, especially when we're not really that involved with a thing in the first place, which people at this stage of the funnel really aren't. And that's exactly what our darling entertainers managed to do. Bridge that gap between a slight interest and real passion by totally normalizing a school of thought that should have been the standard in the first place. The right might have war movies, billionaire funding, and countless grifters, but they will always be, well, boring. You've opened up your mind to it. All those years of indoctrination have finally been flushed out along with your daily intake of cigarettes and vodka. You've had an ideological enema and are now finally ready to learn. So, just like in IRL, there's nothing you can't do without the right hype man. This section of the funnel, as I've just said, is there to actually show you why the current status quo really isn't doing it for you. Something happened in your life, or you spent enough time around leftist ideas, and it triggered your need to learn more. But it's not like you'll actually sit through difficult to understand theory and ideas, and you're still skeptical of the concept that there might be actual alternatives to the current system. It's not that bad, you know? And that's exactly where these hype man channels come into play.
I think that what Yugopnik has put together here is actually so important for kind of understanding who good faith actors are, good people are. I really would love to get everybody in this funnel. We all need to collaborate with each other more. We all need to support each other more. You know, like we've got to build up a popular front on shit. I need to go through and follow every single person in this funnel and start talking to them and trying to bring them on my stream and go on their content and help them with other shit. Like, that's what we need to do. Because there's a lot of strength here, man. There's a lot of strength here. And this aspect of the funnel is so important. So important. Making people understand and believe that there could be an alternative way of organizing society and why it would actually make our lives better off. Unlearning economics is a lib. It has some annoying opinions. I'm sure he does.
They, while on the surface having been cut into different categories, really only have one role: touch on particular people's particular pain points and explain why, very truthfully, they're directly or indirectly systematic and therefore fixable. How capitalism hurts you is somewhat of my channel's specialty, focusing on how you're screwed over financially, emotionally, in spirit and soul, how your boss twists modesty on you as some sort of virtue while siphoning almost all the money you generate for himself, how your inability to find true community or love is stifled by the ever-growing commodification of all relationships, including the family, how dreams which would have been considered modest in the middle of the last century are now borderline impossible for you to achieve, and so on and so on and so on. Channels like my dear friend JT over at Second Thought, who introduces his viewers to a more material understanding of how things really work in capitalism through the brilliantly written and produced videos. One Dime's crazy insight into the economy, ideology, and the future. Unlearning of economics. Niche but incredibly important topics like the ones covered by the likes of Catherine or Andrewism. History deep dives by Freda, History Civilis, or the brilliantly passionate Lady Is the...
I don't know. History Civilis is sussy to me. I think anybody who's pro the oligarchic senators at the end of the late republic, sussy wussy mussy. Sussy wussy. Caesar was right. Caesar was right.
How we're impacting our very own planet, explained by channels like Our Changing Climate, as well as fantastic anti-fascist cultural and social commentators like FD Signify.
Lady Izdahar is amazing. Oh yeah, I've seen a couple of her clips. I need to watch more. Okay, the one thing is, like, I go back and forth on some of this stuff. You don't need to know. This is all my own internal thoughts. These don't actually, they're not formed opinions. They don't actually, you don't need to actually hear what I was going to say. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Effing commercials. Help me out, chat. Chat, if you have the means, please consider supporting the stream by sniping chatters that you see without a sub. That's praxis, baby. I'm bummed because I lived and volunteered politically in Seattle for a year and never ran at Izdahar. I mean, the world is a big place and it's a small place, right? That's one thing I want to do more in the coming year is get more involved in politics on the ground again in my own free time, you know? I want to do something at least once every couple weeks or minimum a month. See if I can help things out. You know, Mike, we should collaborate more. Mike, frowning slightly at every name mentioned. I'm a highly, I believe in bluntness, and I don't like sugarcoating. Maybe this is you know, me being on the spectrum, but like whatever. Okay, I'll give you an example. If I was playing ice hockey and I scored a goal, you know, obviously I do the fist pump and I'm like, yeah. The thing I'm thinking about is, oh, you know, I kind of hit the puck a little bit closer to the heel of my stick there. I didn't get all of that. You know, I was slightly out of position there. I missed that you know, I'm thinking of the things that could make me better. I'm not in some sort of exuberance over the goal being accomplished. I get my tiny little burst of dopamine, and then I'm like, okay, how could I improve? How hard is it to start a DSA chapter? You need, I think you need 10 people. 5 to start, like an organizing committee, I believe is the number. You'd have to go. I did one myself, actually. It now has hundreds of members. Creepy McPasta, thank you for the Prime. But honestly, I was like, I didn't even get in the initial 5. I think I was 10th. I was in the first 10 or first 20 officially, but I don't remember really. And they organized it, not me. They kicked ass. There were some amazing organizers there. I was doing like direct electoral work when that happened. I think it would be awesome if you interview union leaders from around PA. You used to have mic interviews. Yeah, I need to do more of that. I need to do that. I need to do more of that.
Fire, Bess D. Marks, Luna Oy, Cock Philosophy, Non-Compete, or John the Duncan, and many, 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 many others. The hype men are the breaking point, the closest to an actual PR team of the online left pipeline. They're supposed to be direct, honest, clear, and if possible, just a little bit entertaining. This is where the marketing of ideas kind of stops. For the only people moving to the next step are those looking for solutions of the problems defined and explained in this section of the funnel. People who finally understand this shit makes no sense and ask the scariest question. What is to be done?
This whole class is gonna feel my wrath. Now, D nice.
Do you mean Denise?
Son of a...
The teachers represent the free online universities of modern ideological education. Just like professors in any college I can think of, most of them often disagree among themselves in most key issues. But with the students coming from all walks of life and incredibly eclectic material conditions, it's this very diversity of teachers the online left has that can be its strength. The teachers outline the many schools of thought of our relatively young tradition, from the Marxists to the Kropotkins and the Luxemburgs and Lenins. They go in depth about how the current system functions, how it informs history, what had predated it, what alternatives to it exist, how they may be brought about, what the relationship is between man and labor, man and the material world, man and purpose. By teaching, they are fulfilling the very ideals set out to them by the oldest minds of these philosophies, changing the world. Their job is to give the tools needed to generations of self-conscious individuals to build not only progressive minds who believe, but hands which act. Together with the obviously far more important knowledge one gains from actual IRL organizing, these teachers, just like a mama bird, help chew through the heavy, often boring, long, and insanely complicated history and philosophy and carefully drop it into all of our hungry, angry mouths. Spit that pure ideology into my mouth, mommy. Am I right? Oh, Jesus, why did I keep this in the script? Where was I? Yeah, the teachers. Their job never really ends, even if they get someone to move on from the funnel, because as they say, the more you know nothing. So,
by the way, admitting that you are not sure about something and putting yourself in the position of student rather than teacher is something that the tumors never do. This is why I think you should always laugh. Whenever somebody is like a fan of Destiny, as an example, you have to laugh at them. You have to laugh at them. You know, I tweeted about it, but basically, like, bro doesn't know shit, but then he acts like he does. There's nothing more embarrassing than that. That is the biggest personality trait flaw you could have. Pretending you know something when you don't. It's actually the thing that I hate more than any other personality flaw, actually. When somebody tells me with perfect confidence something and it's not so, I pretty much despise them from that point on. Like, literally. Don't do that. Like, if you're not sure, you need to communicate your level of certainty. And if it's not high, you need to communicate it as being not high. In the same way Amazon discourages and puts employees on lists who advocate for unions, do you ever fear as leftism grows on Twitch there might be censorship? There already is. I used to work for Whole Foods, and I know I got blacklisted for trying to raise awareness of unions. Yes, of course. There already is. What do you mean? Of course, there already is. What do you mean, if? What do you mean, if? The reality is you have to understand that that's how it works. You think the capitalists aren't going to use their power?
Who are they? Well, some of my favorite and most impactful channels of this finishing line of ours are people like my dear brother Hakim, who somehow takes the Alexandrian library he has in his head and gives us what we need to know. Theory channels like Marxism Today, The Marxist Project, Prol Cult, Epoch Philosophy, Zoe Baker for the Anarchist, or The Finnish Bolshevik for the MLs, Jonas Jacob from Cut Philosophy for those in between.
I like Jonas quite a bit. I think he's quite good, actually.
And probably plenty others. Hell, I'll probably get into so much.
I mean, like, listen. I don't think that we should shit on anarchists too bad, but I think they should be held at arm's length. Is that harsh? Kinda. Sorry about that, Chad. I was fixing something.
Much trouble for even putting them all on one list, but that's Papa Yugopnik's burden to bear. I might like some of my kids more than the others, but I'll never, ever tell them. The teachers are here to help learn, and
that's literally why you keep them at arm's length, chat. That's literally why.
Wave as the new generations of terminally online humanoids slowly.
Whom amongst us hasn't wanted to throw a Molotov cocktail through a federal building window? What we just saw right there, chat, is known as Fed posting. Number one rule of this channel is do not self-snitch. The number one rule is do not self-snitch. Now, I will give you a timeout because I know you were joking. But give me a fucking break. Anytime you're feeling violent or you're feeling these irrepressible urges of anger, do not turn that into violent rhetoric because you are putting yourself into a position where you could be legally held responsible for something. You could be banned. You could be investigated. You could get this channel in trouble. What are you doing? Stop it. You may think you're having some sort of cathartic release, but what you're really doing is discrediting yourself. Just think about a guerrilla war. You guerrillas say, hey, we're going to attack you on this is such and such a day with this such and such troops, with this such and such weapons. Or do they maintain operational security? The only people that come in here and say, I'm going to do violence are people that are not going to do violence. They're trying to discredit us, trying to discredit the movement. They are trying to Fed post. They're trying to give us optics L's. No. No Fed posting. No self-snitching.
creep out to touch the grass. No matter how much shit they get or we get, I've always loved this little nook of the internet. At the end of the day, cut to its most basic truth, it's a bunch of people who wanted to find a way to escape the daily grind of the very system they know and hate, while at the same time doing their part to push for an alternative to that very same system.
Yeah, dude.
They saved themselves from the proletarian grind, but didn't forget their roots. It's not just content for the sake of content, at least not most of the time. And if they trick the market into putting bread on their table while they shit talk it, then, and I might be subjective here, they might have just found one of the last cheat codes to this massively unfair game we've all been thrust into without our consent. If we put the infighting to the minimum, concentrate on the goal, and do our small but significant parts, both these creators and the incredible communities they're building could have a real impact.
True.
Or maybe this is just all a big useless circle jerk. But then again,
personally, I don't think this is necessary to say. I don't mind being cringe and saying I think we could affect the real world. Do I mean we're going to take over everything? No. No, but we're another brick in the wall. We're another pebble in the landslide. Daughter TP, thanks for the tier 1.
Him and I kind of had a back and forth.
All right, hold on. Let's finish this and then we'll look at that.
and you did just finish the video. Thank you for watching. Now, be a good Tavarish and smash that subscribe button if you liked what you saw. Or, even better, if you are able to, check out my Patreon, where for the price of less than a can of beer a month, you can help this channel run. Now, I'd like to take a moment to thank all my wonderful patrons, without whom none of this would be possible. Especially...
The Slavic squat, chat. The Slavic squat. What a vid. What a vid. What a vid.
Or the many different stripes of leftists from Mike from PA, the Serfs, Central Committee, No Justice MTG, Rob Rossett, TRRF.
Mike from PA, Central Committee, what the fuck? Double mention.
By often unwillingly playing the role of... Or the many different stripes...
Double mention. Double mention. We love to see it, folks.